If you're in a place where you're like, David, I've just had a big spiritual awakening. How do I keep this going? Or you're like, I just want to be more spiritual in general. How can I really do that? I don't know. This is a whole new world. Or if you're somebody who's been in the world, but you feel like you've lost your way, this episode's for you. This is your invitation to become the alchemist of your life. You decode your heaven on earth and go through the alchemical process. The alchemist is a master of himself so that he can master life. People thought alchemists were turning lead into gold, but they're really crystallizing their soul into form. Alchemize your golden potential. Welcome to the Golden Life. Welcome to the Golden Life. My name is David Gilbert, and today we're going to help you become the alchemist of your life and integrate spirit and matter, right? And if you're in a place where you're wanting to be more spiritual, or you're had a massive transformation and you don't want to fall into your old ways, or you just had this awakening moment and you don't know what to do and how to move forward, this episode's especially going to be for you, because we're going to talk about how to be in alignment. Now, I think it's kind of funny if you're like, David, I want to be more spiritual. Well, guess what? You're all spiritual. Everything's spiritual. Right? If we just get scientific, everything is energy. And to me, that's a loosely term of spiritual, but then from the alchemist perspective, the Hermetic philosophy, we all live in the one mind of God, which you could say is consciousness. So we're already all that we are, and it's just you learning to see who you are. That becomes a process of what we call awakening, right? We have these awakening moments, and from those awakening moments, and it could be even a massive transformation. Maybe you see your higher self or higher potential, which I know from experience that could be more scary than seeing your shadow side at times. Or you just had this spiritual awakening and you don't know how to move forward. What is going to keep you in alignment with this potentially newfound peace or possibility or just sense of trust in the universe that you've never felt before and you don't want to lose it? Well, this is where we're going to talk about the integration to embodiment to crystallization process. Because what happens? We have these deeply transformative experiences, or we've been feeling hollow and unfulfilled, and nothing's just been filling that spiritual bucket. So we start down the path and we start learning about some things. And then we have some experience. And after you have that experience, it can be easy to be like, okay, I had the experience, now I know, and fall back into your old ways. So really what we're talking about is how do you stay in alignment? Because if you start to get past who you think you are and start to identify who you truly are, your true essence, you're going to realize it's a big spiritual awakening is truly just a big process of release, of letting go. You hear this in the Eastern traditions, that it's all about letting go. And as you let go, you're getting back to your inherent divine nature. You're literally dissolving who you think you are to become who you truly are in your core. And you could see as you go through that process, if you dissolve who you think you are, unfold who you truly are, well, then it becomes a game about keeping in alignment with that awareness or that state of being, which is the process of integrating your true essence. So how do we do this? Or how do you keep the momentum going? Same with a massively transformative experience, right? How do you keep the momentum going? How do you stay grounded? Because it can be very easy to go through a grand awakening moment or a really transformative experience, or maybe something like an altered state experience, like a breathwork journey or psychedelics, and you just blast off into what feels like another realm, another dimension, and you feel oneness, you feel bliss, you feel love, and then you come back Monday morning and you're like, what is this life that I'm living? I feel like a hamster on a wheel, or I feel like I'm stuck back in my old environment. Whatever that thing is, you're like, wow, I don't want to be here anymore. And this is where it's a very easy trapdoor to fall into, want to spiritually bypass. What I mean by that is like, I'd rather live in this other place than Monday morning, right? I'd rather live in the oneness and light of source than live in this physical body. And in my own experience and the data I've collected, I believe it's part of your journey. Like, it's gonna happen in your journey at some point. It's just a natural remembering of your true source. And you're like, I want to be back there. This shit's really hard being a human. Like, we gotta struggle every day just to get food and energy in our systems to keep us alive. And we got this and that and other people and conflict and all the things. So just know, first of all, it's part of the journey. But what's gonna keep you aligned moving forward is gonna be the daily practices, right? Or weekly practices. Because think about it. If you are evolving into a new version of yourself or uncovering your deepest essence, and then you want to stay in that awareness or in that way of being, then it's about putting the parameters that keeps you in that way of being. Just a fancy way of saying integrating by doing practices that keep you in alignment. So if it's a daily practice where our brains, our personalities, our egos are going to be built to help us survive and to help the ego be right about what it thinks it's right about, well, that's where we have to practice focusing on our goals of spiritual alignment to move us forward. So this is where you get to experiment. I don't have all the answers for you. You are a unique divine being with a unique life experience made of a completely different chemistry. Maybe not completely, unless you're not human. I don't know. Made of a different chemistry than my own. And you have different belief systems. You have a unique, actually, a single of the infinity of eternity perspective that is unique to you from anyone or anything else in the universe. So have some respect for that. And this is where you get to experiment with the practices that are going to help you feel that sense of alignment. And if you're on the awakening journey and you're new to the awakening journey, well, this is where you're going to hear the classic example. If you're like, David, just tell me some things to do. Okay, fine. I'll tell you some things to do. If you're new to the awakening journey, this is where meditation will be the recurring theme, right? Because what are we doing? We're shutting down the brain. We're getting down to pure awareness. And then you're just getting in touch with your deepest essence, beyond thoughts, beyond your mind. And this is like a detoxing from normal life, right? Bringing you back to that space. And then you can enjoy that space. Another practice is, while as you go through life, every hour, just 2 times an hour, you just drop into pure awareness. And just drop back. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm just pure essence, the infallible that can't be described. And I'm just the observer. And that's where you get to separate yourself from the mind. Oh, here's my thoughts. Oh, here's that. Oh, here's these feelings. Okay. Even back behind that. Okay. Just pure awareness. And you're going to build this muscle, but you must continuously do this. Otherwise, we're going to default back to our survival biological based patterns. It's just science. You're a divine light in a human mammal biologic form. So this is where we get to play with both, but to come into alignment like Jesus on the cross, this is where having those practices are going to keep you in alignment, in integrating that thing. As well as one more practice is to simply sit for 5 minutes. And if you were to say, I am one with Christ, I am Christ, or Christ is working through me, just feeling what it would be like to be fully open heart, to just be in pure possibility, pure awareness, pure love, pure infinity, pure timelessness. That's another practice in of itself. So there's 3 things if you're looking for spiritual embodiment. And then if you're like, David, I've had this massively transformative experience, well, this is where you get to align it with the vision of who you're becoming or who you now are and how you move forward with that, right? So what are the daily habits that keep you being that being? As well as, if you've had a massively transformative experience, what are those practice or rituals that are going to bring you back to that experience that you had? This is where things like incense, just as an example, right? You create space during your busy day. If you just had this massive peak experience and you felt oneness or you felt fully alive and it just recharged your mind, body, and soul, well, how can you create space in your busy day or week to go sit in that energy again. And this is where you can use physical triggers from your senses to help you get into that space, right? Maybe you use smell. Smell is one of the strongest things that can be tied to memory. Maybe you use sight. Maybe you look at pictures from that experience. Maybe you look up pictures of a similar experience. Or you can use feeling, right? Just closing your eyes and breathing in and out and just breathing in that feeling of where you were and in and out from your heart. So you could do one simple exercise again of just as if you're breathing that feeling in and out of your heart, and you're literally taking control of the frequency, the being of frequency that you are, doing it that way. And then there's also sound, right? Is there meditative music? Was there a certain playlist? Is it nature sounds? What are the sounds? And you can create this environment around yourself to put you back into that space and remember that feeling. And it's like taking, as I said in a previous episode, right, the tinder, the divine spark from being at the top of the mountain and bringing that to Monday morning and fanning that consistently. So by doing those practices, you'll allow yourself to fan that flame and keep that flame moving forward, which that is the game of integration. And as you do that consistently, you're going to start to go from integration to embodiment. To this just becomes who you are. Because if you want to be more of a spiritual being, which in my perspective is just allowing the essence, your true essence or light to just flow freely, you got to think about creating a frame, right? You're creating a frame with these daily practices that allow the flow, your energetic flow, your essence, the light of who you are to just flow freely. But you got to build that container of that frame. Otherwise, it's not going to flow freely, or otherwise you're going to get stuck in your head or your old ways, and you're not really going to allow. Because that's, at the end of the day, we're cultivating practices to allow life to flow through you, not get blocked by getting stuck in your head or stuck in past nervous system trauma or stuck in emotional repression. You want life to flow through you, and when you start to feel yourself aligned with the current of life, that's when you feel the flow, the divine flow. That's when you feel the grace, the surrender. But it's building the practices that allow you to trust that surrender that we have to do to keep it all flowing. So we went deep today. We went deep into spiritual practices. But the other thing I would say on top of this, when you have a spiritual awakening or massively transformative experience or peak experience, and I didn't highlight when it comes to integration, is think about grounding. This is a key time for grounding. And you're like, David, I'm new to this. I don't know what you're talking about. No matter what the experience is, this is where we want to ground it. Because first I want to give you the visual. I think I shared this in a previous episode of the tree. The tree that can reach the heavens is the one with the deepest roots. Right? So this is where you want to do something that gets you grounded and can be as simple as a practice as earthing, which is a fancy way of saying, get outside, take off your socks, go sit under a tree or walk in the grass or go to the beach and just get out in nature and allow the natural energy of nature to ground you. Or maybe this is where, if you had a really deep spiritual awakening, it's time to create a little bit of balance and go do something that is very physical, or eating a heavy meal, or something that gets you grounded back into your body. Because that's where the spiritual bypassing will come, will try to sneak in if you have this really big experience and you don't ground yourself back into life. Because I can share from my own experience and all the mentors I have followed and I continuously learn from, and the ones that I find love to go the deepest. And know what the secret is? This is all there is, right? Coming back, spirit into human form. There's nothing else. You can seek and discover this for yourself, or you can practice the practices to be the alchemist that shows up fully on Monday morning, because they're looking to integrate more spirit into their body instead of trying to become a spirit that leaves the body. So thank you for taking a deep dive with me today. I know if you have any specific questions, put them in the comments. If you get really stuck, just reach out to me. We can book a time and I can help you work through these practices. I do consider myself an integration expert because I know how to go from integration to embodiment to crystallization, and I've guided many people through this process before. So stay golden and continue being that magical, divine, spiritual being that you are.